just think, it's really surprised me how motivated people are. They keep me motivated. They're on there. They post pictures like they've been for walks and stuff, and it's a real. Whereas when I run a club, I don't get to know people. I know people. They walk in, they pay the money. I see them, but I don't know them people. Whereas these people online are absolutely amazing. They'll share what they're doing outside of the shred. So I've had people post on that they've been for runs, they've been for walks, and they'll put pictures of whereabouts they are. It's just lovely to know that people are. It's got people motivated, and people are continuing to be motivated. Around that group. It's fantastic.
That was my today's guest. Welcome to the Alan Twig podcast. So my guest today is a very special person. She started Taekwondo at a young age. She managed to rise to being a third Dan, whatever that means, black belt in Taekwondo. I'm sure she'll tell us what it means later. She's run lots and lots of half marathons. She's run several full marathons, although she's not what she would say herself is a natural marathon runner. She's even competed in the London Marathon. And today she's a working mother, but also a motivational fitness coach. I'd like to welcome today, my guest is Joanne Graham. Hello, Joanne.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
I'm fine. It's a little bit strange for both Joanne and I. This is for both of us, more or less our first podcast. So if you're one of the lucky people to be listening in, not only do you get to listen to a really interesting interview, you also get to see the insights, a little bit of what it's like when you're starting out in the podcast world. So Joe, welcome to the show, and you do an online workout every day. Why don't we just start by why don't you just tell us a little bit about that just before we find out a little bit more about you?
So I do an online motivational workout for ladies, and gents if they want to join in. I've been doing it basically since lockdown. Well, it started as something to do during lockdown because I run quite a few clubs online at 10. So I was online at 10 every morning, and that's how it started. But now I do sort of the 30-day shred, motivating people. And it's like snowball from there, really.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we'll return to your shredding activities a little bit later. But you're a working mum, but you're also a third Dan in Taekwondo. Yeah, I don't know a lot about Taekwondo. So why don't you tell us about Taekwondo? How did you get started in Taekwondo? How did all that happen? I mean, it's a little bit unusual, isn't it? So tell us what happened.
So my husband, Scott, was, when I met him, so into Taekwondo. It was unreal. He was there 5-6 days a week, went on about Taekwondo. I found out he was the British champion, European champion in Taekwondo. So
it was serious.
He was elite on the circuit in Taekwondo. So every week it would involve me going to competitions, going and watching him at the club. And I did this for about 3 years, and I just got fed up really of him talking about it. And I thought, well, while I'm sat here watching them, I might as well be doing it. So I joined actually his club, which was a bit of a nightmare because he kept giving me press ups all the time to make an example of me. But he called it his hour of power or whatever. But yeah. So and then from there I'd sort of started So I thought, well, I've got to finish this. I've got to keep going. So that's what I did. I just kept going until I got to my black belt, and that's.
But
Yeah.
it took you 3 years to actually 3 years of following Scott, your husband, following him around. It took you 3 years before you actually had the idea of starting yourself. So why did it take so long?
Well, because I just didn't want to get beat up. It was really, you used to go in the hall and people used to come out with black eyes and all sorts of stuff at the time, because it was like in the 90s and, anything went basically. So, all these people used to stagger out looking injured. And I used to think, I quite like the patterns part of the martial art at that point, but the sparring looked a bit too aggressive for me. But, no, I actually love it. It's great.
The sparring or the patterns?
The sparring and the patterns, but the sparring is, to do a martial art, you've got to, it's about defending yourself. So you have to learn to take a punch or take a kick. So but it's all good fun. I love it now.
So what is a pattern then?
So a pattern is a series of different moves. You've probably seen, if you've ever watched, I don't know, like any Bruce Lee movies or Karate Kid movies, they have like people moving slowly and doing a slow series of movements, and that's a pattern. But actually it's slowed down self-defense. So that pattern is usually, you could use them moves in self-defense.
So like when the Karate Kid is painting the fence.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi is teaching him how to block or how to block a punch. So yeah. So
when you but you were reluctant to start, and eventually after 3 years you did start. So why didn't you just give it a go? I mean, surely most people would have thought, well, after a year of being involved really directly in the middle of it all. I mean, if you're following your partner around and he's kind of at the center of the whole scene, why didn't you just, start a little bit earlier, just dip your toe in, see what it was like? It took 3 years It took
3 years. But I think many people are like that. A lot of people, like, every year will sit and watch the London Marathon on TV, but they'll never participate in the London Marathon because they think they can't do it. They think, a lot of people, they think they can't do that. They can't, they'll say, I can't run a marathon. Or I couldn't do Taekwondo. That's what I thought at the time. I can't do that. But you can do it. It's just that your mind is telling you can't do it. You can actually do it.
Okay. So I know I've gone on it, but but at some point you thought, okay, I'm going to do it. Was there a moment? Was it just okay? Did you see something differently or?
No, I just thought, oh my God, I can't take him talking about this any longer.
Right.
So I'm just going to join in, and then he can't tell me about it because I'll have already been there doing it, and it worked. Because then then we were both training, and it meant we got more in common than we had before. In common, but I was total opposite to Scott. So Scott was like this guy that go just off on a whim. He'd go do a half marathon. He'd sign up on the day, which you could then, and just go and run a half marathon. I used to think, God, he's mad. Who would want to do that? And then he'd go out in the rain, pouring rain. He'd go, I'm going for a 2-hour run. And I'd say, and I couldn't understand it. But now I totally get it. I totally get why I want. So yeah, but I think for a lot of people, they don't want to do it because they think they can't do it. And I was one of them people, but I got sick of him talking about it. So
okay, but so that was your Taekwondo. I think you went on to, I think you've been running a school for many years. But before you tell us about that, why why don't you tell, so I presume you started Taekwondo and started with your partner before you were married with children and
Yeah.
before all the domestic bliss happened.
Yes. Yeah, that's when I could train 5 times a week and, you know, do what I wanted. Yeah, I did it before then, but I didn't actually achieve my black belt until I'd had my first child, Alex. I didn't do my black belt until he was 12 months old, and someone had, so I went back after having Alex, 5 weeks after having Alex, I went back training so I could go to achieve my black belt. But that wasn't my plan at the time. I just thought, my friend rung me up and said, "You've got to do it. You've come this far. You've got to get your black belt." And I thought, yeah, she's right. I've got to get my black belt. So I went and retrained basically, and that was 5 months after having Alex. Sorry,
Okay.
5 months after having Alex. Yeah, I'd gone back.
And so this is a deep question. I don't know if you can answer it or not. Probably you might not even have thought about it, or maybe not. But what did Taekwondo teach you? What did you learn through Taekwondo?
I learned perseverance, and I also learned how to control myself. Really, you look at things in a different way when you do a martial art to what you'd probably done before, because you have to teach yourself self-discipline. So when you're sparring with someone, or you're fighting with someone in a club environment, they're all your friends. But there can be people that really go for it. You really like, and you have to learn to control yourself. You have to learn to control your anger. When you're doing tournaments and that, you can't be seen to be so if you win, you can't be seen to be I don't know how to put it, like, yeah, and shouting that you've won and everything, because that would be
Showing off.
Yeah, that's what I was, showing off, because you'd be seen to be disrespectful. So it's taught me a lot. I think it's taught me how, especially like motivational wise, it's taught me that you've got to persist, you've got to carry on until the end, and there's no end, really. There's never an end. Like, I could have got to black belt. A lot of people get to black belt and then just give up, which, why have you come this far just to give up? There's always something else you can do. There's always something else that you can learn and you can achieve, because getting your black belt is the beginning of the story, really. It's not the end. And I think that it's taught me that, you know, you shouldn't ever give up. You should never give up.
And once you've, yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that applies to a lot of things. And I know in my experience, it's a lot like the start of this podcasting experience. It's always the beginning that's the most difficult, isn't it? Whether you're starting a martial art, or as I do, I dance tango, or I learn golf, or whatever. The beginning's always the most frustrating, because you've got the most to learn, and and it requires the most energy usually as well. There's no inertia, there's no momentum, is there, at the beginning? You've got to build that momentum, and that takes, at the beginning, I think, you know, a certain amount of just a willingness to stick with it for a certain amount of time. And I think that's the concept a little bit behind your shred, as far as I can make out. We'll get back into that a little bit later, but I think that's also part of what you learn in Taekwondo. You're trying to apply to your shred as well. But you can tell us about later. But I just thought, you know, if we're kind of structuring this as a journey, you started after the black belt, and after you got married and had children. I think, was it at that point that you started? I think you started your own school, didn't you? I think you started your own Taekwondo school after. I don't know, before you had children or after. I don't know.
before we had Scott had a because Scott was my instructor, but he had a school from being 19, so he started instructing at 19. So I'd already met Scott, and then sort of once I'd got my black belt, then I helped him out at that school. So we had that probably until after we had the kids. For a couple of years after we'd had the kids, and then Scott had to go and work away. Life commitments get in your way. I'd got 2 children, and it was at that point we thought we couldn't commit to doing the Taekwondo school at that point anymore. But about 4 years after doing that, we realised that was part of our lives, really, Taekwondo. So we restarted.
So you actually started the school before,
yeah,
and then stopped.
And then stopped because Scott was working. He's an electrician, so it was really a hobby at that point. But he had to go away to earn money, and I was at home with 2 kids, and there was no way I could sort of carry on. I couldn't find a way because I'd got no one to have the kids to instruct the Taekwondo school. So we gave the Taekwondo school to someone else who was in our club, and they carried it on for a while. But about 4 years after that, we decided that, we needed to get it back up and running, and we did.
You were missing it.
Really missing it, yeah.
Really missing it, yeah.
Really like I am now.
Yeah. You were teaching adults at this point, or
adults and kids? Yeah, we had a good mix of. At this point, we had about 60 students. So this was when we were before kids. We had about 60 students, and now we've got the same amount. We've got about that back now, but obviously with lockdown, we've not been able to teach.
So your school's always. You've always taught, both of you've always taught adults and also children.
Yeah.
So I presume there's a different approach for both groups.
Yeah. So the adults, the adults are at one side of the class, usually with Scott, and I've.
Oh, you do it together. So the kids and the adults are there at the same time.
Kids and the adults.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we line them up, so they go at one side, the adults, and I have all the children at the other side. They play, yeah. It's a different level teaching children. You've got that mix of kids, the ones that really want to be there and train, and then you've got the other element that, mums and dads, which they want them to be disciplined, so they send them to our club, but But you do find that. But whatever, it's all enjoyable. I don't mind it.
So, so obviously Scott's got the easier task, or it sounds like to me that he's probably got the easier task, because teaching adults, I presume they're there because they want to be there, and that's a big difference, right? Massive difference.
If we had a hall full of adults to a hall full of kids, the teaching it flows better, because the adults, of course, they pick things up easier, they listen. Kids will be sat stood at the back of the hall picking the nose and all sorts while you're explaining something, then they go, what have you just said? And I'll go, I've just spent like 5 minutes and I have to go and explain it all again. It's kids, in it. So
you're patient then?
Yes. We have to be. We have to be.
But you enjoy teaching the Taekwondo to the children?
I love teaching Taekwondo to the children, because you see them go from that when they come in, and sometimes they just don't listen, but then they go from that, and it's a weird process, because they'll go from not listening at all to 2 years later maybe really getting it. We've got one student in particular, and she was never a natural martial artist, never. She really has struggled the whole way through. So she started when she were 5, and she stood out from the rest because she really like really had to try to do the kicks and the punches. She had no coordination. And she's kept going, and now she's a one-off black belt, and she really has got it. She can do all the kicks, and she can do all the, and it's amazing. You see these kids come through and you think, oh, and even the parents will be saying, well, they're not a natural. And by the time they've done so many years at it, they are often the kids that are the best, your best, because they're the ones that really want it and will go that extra mile to train it. Whereas kids that get it natural, you know, they don't, they just blase.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that was I think David Beckham, I think he had I think that was his story. So it goes anyway, the David Beckham story, that he was more through practice than being a real natural.
Yeah.
So, yeah, quite surprising. So so you still teach, or you did still teach Taekwondo right up until the lockdown craziness began back in March, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, right up until that week that they basically locked us down, we were still teaching. So we were teaching. We taught 4 classes that week, and since then we've done nothing. We're just about to get our classes back up and running this week coming, but that in itself is not going to be the same as it was, because we can't do the sparring, we can't do the pad work, so it's going to be a big change for us all until things get back to normal.
Okay, but you're not just a black belt in Taekwondo, you also are a runner.
I am, yes. Well, self-runner, but I am a runner.
And I think so. You've run several half marathons and several full marathons, and you're also involved in the London Marathon. So why did you get started with why did you get started running? What I mean, you're doing your Taekwondo, you're running your Taekwondo school, you're probably running around after all your children. You know, you're a busy mother, you're working, you know, you've got all these responsibilities. Why did you decide that you needed to start running half marathons as well?
It wasn't particularly that I needed to start running half marathons. I needed to do something, because I'd got to a certain point in my life where I was instructing, but often instructing Taekwondo doesn't come with a lot of effort being put into that instructing. Not from a teaching point of view, but fitness wise, you basically do a short warm up, and then the kids do the rest. You demonstrate, and then they're doing all the work. You're just instructing, so you're not doing a whole lot of fitness. So I'd got to a point where I'd put weight on, basically, and I thought, I know where this is going. 40 were coming up, and you know, I think I was 3 years off being 40, and I thought, I don't want to have middle-age spread, and I don't want to go down that road. So I thought, right, running is basically, I can run from my house. I don't need a gym. I don't need anything like that. Scott can have the kids while I go for a run. And so I went for one run to the end of the road, I think it was, and basically nearly died.
So like the opening scene in that, what's that film called now? Run, Fat Boy, Run.
Oh, Run, Fat Boy, Run. Yeah, it was like the opening scene in that, but worse. I just thought, you can't get to this point. So
But was there something specifically that triggered you? You know, I mean, it's the same. It seems like a bit of a theme. I mean, you must have, you know, did something trigger you into starting running?
Yes, my friend. Well, the story is that my friend Bet, I went on a New Year's Eve party, and at this point I'd had to wear leggings and this stretchy top because I couldn't get in any of my other clothes, and I thought, oh, this is bad, and I knew at this point it was bad. And my friend walked in with her mum, and the mum said, oh, what happened to you? You used to be. And at that point I thought, no way. But I already knew I had to do something. I had to do something. And then Bev was doing the Sheffield Half Marathon, because I live in Sheffield in the UK.
This is your friend?
Yeah, my best mate. And she says, you come and do half marathon with me. So I just thought, that's ridiculous. I've never run in my life. And hence, that's why I ran down the road the next day, New Year's Day. And I come back and I signed up for the half marathon. I mean, I couldn't even run down the road. I don't even know what I was doing that. But, you know, but I had to have a goal. I needed a focus. And unless I had that goal to get to at the end, I wouldn't have done it. I was at that point where I just would have thought, oh no, I'm not doing it. So I signed up, and then I trawled through YouTube to find the last man running through at our town centre, to see what, you know, how long it took him to get there, and whether I could do this, because I just thought I can't even run.
So basically find the worst runner and see what his time was.
Yeah, and I thought, and it was a minion. It was a man in a minion costume who was running down Fargate, and I thought, Fargate's like in our town centre, and I thought, oh, great. I thought, if the minion can get there, surely that's you're on to a winner. Surely, all I've got to do is train. But I must say that since then, I have seen minions. There's been on marathons, and I've seen minions, Scooby-Doos, Darth Vaders, they've all overtook me. A camel overtook me. A camel. I mean, 2 people in it. I mean, how does that happen? But they've overtook me on marathons,
So for you, the running is not so much about the time, more finishing is the goal.
Yeah. The goal.
So you find it, you're not a natural runner then?
No. I think I'm all right. I'm an average runner. You know, I think it doesn't matter whether you're a natural runner or what. You can go and you can walk a marathon. You can walk a marathon if you want to. Just get to the finish line. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be. You don't even have to be fit to start. As long as you start a training plan and get to the end of that training plan, and you can do a marathon. You can do a half marathon. So you don't have to be a natural. And I don't class myself as a natural runner at all.
You know, running's one of those, I mean, I was actually pretty reasonable at school, but I can never find the motivation to run. I do go and do 10 minutes in the morning down the road. It's probably, I don't know, a quarter of a mile there and back, and I finish with a sprint, but I can't really motivate myself to do more than that. So if people are listening, or you even perhaps tell me, how do you get past that point where, like I say, I'm at 10 minutes, perhaps other people can kind of connect with that they can maybe manage 5 or 10 minutes, but how do you go out and run for an hour or 2 hours without, well, effectively getting really bored, or I find it difficult to get into that mindset. So, you know, you must have discovered something that I've obviously not discovered.
Yeah, you have to have a goal. An event. I think that the only way to do it is to have an event in mind, that something that you're aiming for.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a lot of events like 5K events, 10K events. So you could start off with aiming to do these park runs. I know they're not running now, but that could be a goal. That your goal could be, right, I have to run for
so
and to get to this, and you've got to have a date in mind when you're running and have a goal. And I think your goal has always got to be an event of some point. And to stop people getting bored, a running partner, if you can get someone crazy enough to come out with you, then that's always a good thing.
Yeah. So it's not enough to think I want to lose a pound or lose an inch.
Yeah, that can be your goal. I mean, your weight loss can be a goal, but I think that in order to achieve that goal of losing your weight, you've got to have something else in mind to aim for. because I think if you just purely focused on weight loss, with running, often you put weight on. It sounds silly, but your muscles in your leg, with anything you do, your muscle mass grows. So muscle often weighs heavier than fat. So you lose your weight, you tone up. But people, I weigh heavy on scales. If you put me on scales, I'd weigh heavy, but I'm not. I'm just fit. I'm not heavy. It's my muscle mass that where my legs must be, they're really, toned, but people don't see that. They see the scales. So I'd say if you're doing running, don't do it for just weight loss. Do it because you want to enjoy it. And I think that way your weight loss will come, or weight loss will come in the long term. But don't just go out and think, right, I'm going to start running to lose weight, because often people think, oh, I can't do that, it's boring or whatever. Have a goal, and then it doesn't get boring because you've always focused on something.
So, I think your philosophy has kind of become, because you're now running this, you do an online shred every morning, and I think you get up really early, regardless of what you've got doing, and you do this online shred that takes 15 minutes. And I think, or from what I gathered, you're interested in, because you're a normal, or you like to classify yourself as a normal person yourself, you're looking to also motivate people who perhaps have never run before, and obviously perhaps not been a black belt in Taekwondo, but feel that they need to be doing something. That's the idea behind it, I think, from what I can make out. But how did that start? How did you? Why? Okay, so you're running these marathons, and you're active, you're fit, you're a black belt, and then the lockdown came along, and you were kind of hit for six because you couldn't do your Taekwondo classes anymore, and you I think you had a workout class as well that you couldn't do anymore. But you wanted to do something online, or you had this idea of doing it online, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I just thought, because at that point I'd been told, because I've got asthma, and I was on one of the
asthma as well. So a black belt Taekwondo, marathon running, asthmatic.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've got asthma as well. Yeah. And I was sort of told from work I had to go on Shield. So I thought, and at that point they just put me Shield in. There was no home working. And I thought, I can't do 12 weeks with none of my clubs. At that point, I'm not sure we were only allowed out once a day or whatever it was and I thought, I've got to do something. So I'd already got a Facebook page for my fitness class. And I just put on, anyone fancy doing an online workout 3 times a week, just to keep motivated. For 15, well, it wasn't 15 minutes at that point, it was just however long it rolled for, sort of thing, at that point. And then so I got quite a few people on. I got a lot of people on in the morning. There were people with kids on. It was great. And I got, they were all commenting, and just keeping people motivated, really. So that was good. And then I thought, well, really, I could offer it every day, every weekday, but for just 15 minutes, which I did. And what I noticed in them 15 minutes is by the time I got to the second month, I definitely lost weight. I was losing a lot of weight just through doing 15 minutes every day. And at this point, I weren't running. I was just doing the workout. So I did these workouts 15 minutes, and I noticed I'd lost quite a lot of weight. So then I sort of set it up. I said, this has happened. I've lost the weight doing this. Is there anyone that would be interested in doing a 30-day shred as an experiment to see whether it actually works?
And what was the requirements of the 30-day shred?
So the 30-day shred. So to give up takeaways for 30 days. to do a 15-minute workout and to drink lots of water. And we experimented. Everyone took the measurements at the beginning, everyone took the measurements at the end, and as a group, I can't remember how many people were in the group, but we, as a collective group, they lost 60 inches as a group, which I thought was fabulous. And one lady lost up to 9.5 inches, which was amazing because she was so dedicated to it all. There were some others that had said, oh, they hadn't lost as much, but they had cheated on the takeaways and they missed some workouts. So, you know, you have to understand, if you want to achieve anything, you have to be dedicated, at least dedicate yourself to see if it works. So a lot of people hadn't, but the ones that did definitely lost inches. They did really well.
I think, you know, at the beginning, I mean, I've also been into, I've read a lot about habit change, and I think at the beginning, it's more important actually to just form a habit rather than just, it's not so much what you achieve at the beginning, but just the achievement of making a habit out of something. So,
Yeah.
So for instance, there was an example given in one of the books I read where if you want to go to the gym and you want to work out, it's important that you start to see yourself as somebody who works out every day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter whether it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or an hour. The main goal at the beginning is just to be somebody who works out, and then the improvements may come later. So it was perhaps quite amazing that you got so many good results in the first month, because, you know, like I say, I think for most people probably the achievement would have been just sticking with it for a month without, you know, and obviously people are going to relapse, and if people are enjoying takeaways, then, you know, it's human nature, isn't it, to perhaps, you know, give in and have one or two when you shouldn't be. So
oh, definitely, yeah. But I think working out from home helps because you haven't got to, you're not going anywhere. So you can literally just go down into your front room or kitchen or wherever, a little space you have, do a workout 15 minutes, go grab a shower. You've done it. You're all at home. You've done your workout for the day. It's something I'd never done before. So I think, and I've always either gone to the gym or, you know, gone swimming and all that. But to me, it's so much easier doing a workout from home. It's just is. It's a no-brainer, really, because you've done your workout. You've not spent 15 minutes traveling to the gym, 15 minutes traveling back, getting your bag ready. You can do it in your pajamas if you want to. It really doesn't matter. So yeah.
you do it first thing. You literally get out of bed and do the workout.
I have a cup of tea first, and then I have a cup of tea, and then I get up, basically put my gym stuff on, go down into the front room, switch my camera on, and start the workout. That's it, and I get people on every morning.
So whatever you've done, whatever you do, whatever else you do during the day, you've always done your workout. You've always done something for yourself for the day.
Yeah, and you feel better. It instantly makes you feel as though it makes you feel better, and it wakes you up. Because I often say it when I'm doing the workout. I always say, you know, I was half asleep before I did this workout this morning. Now I feel great knowing I've done it, and it's over with. I can go to work. I walk into work, and I know I've done a good 15-minute workout. You know, burnt some calories, toned up a bit. Yeah.
And what kind of exercises do you do then? Do you is it the normal stuff? What is it? How?
So, I base a lot on Taekwondo with what I've learned on Taekwondo. So
would this be the patterns?
No, this would be like the cardio bit of it, where you do the kicks and the punches. Obviously, you're not doing them; you're just doing them in midair or whatever. But it really does burn calories. I do a lot of HIIT exercises, which is the high intensity exercises, such as star jumps, or you can do burpees and stuff like that. I do them. I do abs work in it. mainly I mix it up. So I have a workout where I use a water bottle. So you're doing you're using a weight. So it's nothing, you don't have to have any equipment. You know, everyone's got a 2 litre bottle in the house that they can use, or you can use cans of beans. So I do stuff like that. Yeah, it's just all a mix up of exercises. It's all good fun.
Okay, and is it a challenge then trying to find different exercises? Because I think you said to me once that you know the benefits come by mixing it up, don't they? Trying to
Yeah,
do different exercises each month,
yeah.
not doing the same things over and over.
No, I mix up the exercise. Some of the exercises are the same, but you find that with there's
Of
only a
course.
of exercises you can do anyway. But I mix it up basically by one day we'll do a lot of kicking, punching exercises, and it'll all be focused on that. The next day we might do an abs workout, concentrate on that. The next day we do something with the water bottle with the weights workout. So I try and mix it up. There's no two workouts that's ever the same. A lot of them have there's similar exercises in, or the same exercises that you've done before, but they're all I make them up on the spot as I go along. So there's no rigid routine. It's different. Every workout that I do is different.
So, has anything surprised you about the whole thing? So about, you know, you run this daily shred, you get up every morning, you've noticed that it's good for your mental health as well as your physical health. It gets a good start into the day, and you've got this group, a free group, I think, which is available for the beginning of every month, and then there's a small price for a paid group, and you've got actually quite a dedicated group of shredders in there, I can gather. So has anything surprised you? Has anything, is there anything that's kind of been different to how you imagined it would be at the beginning when you first started?
Yeah, I just think, it's really surprised me how motivated people are. They keep me motivated. They're on there. They post pictures like they've been for walks and stuff, and it's a real. Whereas when I run a club, I don't get to know people. I know people. They walk in, they pay the money. I see them, but I don't know them people. Whereas these people online are absolutely amazing. They'll share what they're doing outside of the shred. So I've had people post on that they've been for runs, they've been for walks, and they'll put pictures of whereabouts they are. It's just lovely to know that people are. It's got people motivated, and people are continuing to be motivated. Around that group, it's fantastic, and I think that you don't usually get that in the clubs that I've run. I've never had that. So
You feel there's like a little bit of a community around
yeah,
the group as well.
yeah, definitely. And I've got people that joined when I first started, I think in June, and I've got people that have joined this month, and they're all like really friendly towards each other. It's a really that's what it's all about. There's nothing negative in that group. Whereas a lot of stuff you see, I think, on various social media platforms, there's a lot of negativity about at the minute, and I think that now time to keep positive, and it's just a great little group. And I think that, and I comment a lot on it, and like yesterday I did the virtual London Marathon with my brother, and he I basically posted on, I've done it. They knew I was doing it. I just posted on, I've done this, what have you been doing all day? And they were but before that they were so supportive. They were even messaging me saying good luck, well done, and all this. And I just think that's amazing, because I'm the one that should be motivating them. Be motivated as well, so it's great.
Okay, that's good. So, I mean, we're in this really crazy time at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah.
And from, you know, I mean, things are obviously changing quickly, but at the moment it looks like it's going to be 6 months. I mean, winter's now on its way. The leaves will be falling from the trees soon. I'm not trying to paint such a too depressing picture for everybody, but
No.
I think you clearly believe, or I presume you think that it's not just about physical. It's not just the physical. That's from what you've told me. It's almost like it's the mental health aspect of it is also interesting. You become part of a community. You've done something at the beginning every day, which automatically, I suppose, increases your self-confidence. So you're going to be continuing this throughout. I mean, what are your plans? What are your plans for going forward now? What are you hoping? Are you wanting to change things a little bit, or is there anything that you're wanting to do differently, or are you happy with how things are going? Or I presume you want to carry this on now throughout the winter, right? I mean, we can't go anywhere else, can we? Well, I can. I'm in Tenerife.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't. Well, we can't do anything really else. But yeah, no. My intention is to carry it on. I think that it's. I mean, it's fantastic. There's no way I'm stopping it now. And for me, I just find that 15 minutes in the morning just for myself is amazing. So yeah, I just think that there's no reason to stop it. I've started it, and like I've always said, you've got to get to the end point, haven't you, and see where you can take it. The plan is, I want more people. I'd love more people to join, because the bigger the community, the better it is. The more motivated people are. There'll be more comments on there. So yeah.
So like the newbies, so the people that have been doing it a while can maybe help the newbies a little bit. I know that feeling. So yeah, but you're still working as well at the same time as doing all this shredding. You're still, I think you're still working. So you're probably like a lot of the people listening. You know, you've got a job. This is not your full-time job, is it? Fitness and
that's a hobby. Amazingly, that's just a hobby, but it takes up most of my life. But yeah, no, my full-time, I work as a medical secretary for NHS, and that's my full-time job. So it is a very stressful job I've got. It's, you know, yeah, I think that anyone listening who says that they haven't got time to do, I don't know, even 15 minutes or go out for a run, or because they work full-time. Well, I work full-time as well as running clubs, which involves a lot of paperwork, as well as doing my shred every morning and going and instructing the clubs. So it is doable. And I still get time to do family things. I still get time to like run a taxi service for my children, who seems to think I've become city taxis in Sheffield now. But yeah, I still do all the normal stuff that people do. So yeah.
So as a disclaimer, I also have a morning routine, and I can really recommend it to anybody. It's a great way to start the day. Mine's a little bit more gentle than Joanne's. I do yoga and so on, but I also definitely have a morning routine. Like I mentioned, also I go for a quick run. And I have been thinking, Joanne, especially since you told me so many people are losing weight, that I might give your shred a go myself to see if I can lose some weight as well. Because I'm not entirely happy with my stomach area. Okay, so yeah, I think it's perhaps a good time to land this podcast. It's been my first podcast. I think it's also been the first time for Joanne as well. I think it might be a good time now to just end by saying, you know, if people are interested in doing something for their physical and mental health over the next 6 months or however long this continues, let's hope it doesn't continue that much longer, but even beyond that, it's also something that you've been doing it through the summer months, so it's definitely something that can continue. Where do they find you? Where do they go if they want to find? they want to give it a go, how do they do that?
I've got a Facebook page, The Ultimate Shred. I've also got a website, The Ultimate Kick-Ass Shred. They can find me there. I've got a Facebook group, which is The Ultimate Kick-Ass Shred Facebook group, and that's a free one. So you get 7 days free on that one. So yeah, so you can find me online. Basically, I am online. You can find me. I've got a YouTube channel as well. But I'm not quite sure what that's called, but yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll add all of the places where people can find you. I'll add those to the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll find all the links in the description, or if you're listening on a podcast, I'll put it in the show notes. And if you're reading this, I'll add it on there as well. So so anybody who's interested will be able to find all those links. And I think, maybe a good way to end this would be, if you could imagine now somebody listening to this who's perhaps not entirely happy with their weight, kind of reached a point where they know they should be doing something. All the gyms are closed, they're perhaps not confident enough to go outside and go running, or there's nobody to go running with. They feel a little bit like I do about running, but they just can't kind of find that motivation to, they're at that point where they want to kind of start doing something. That's it. What could you say to just, I don't know, push them over the line and maybe give your course or anything, to start doing something? What would you say to them?
What I'd say to them is, right, if you just do it, just don't think about it too long. If you think about it, you can spend hours thinking about what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. You've just got to do it. So if you find, the thing is, if you're sat there thinking about it, instead of sat there thinking about it, get up and do something. Go out the door, go for a run. Just think, right, I'm going. And just do it. Think about it any longer than that. The thought's gone, and you're just going to sit on that settee a bit longer. So don't overthink things. Just do them. Out my courses, we do a free 7-day shred every month, and that group is a really motivational group. No one's watching you. No one. You can do it in your pajamas if you want. There's no one watching you. It's in your own front room, so you don't have to feel embarrassed. You can just get up, do whatever you can. There's no like, it's not like going to a gym and thinking, oh my God, I can't keep up with that person in front of me. She's going too fast. I look silly. There's none of that, because you're in your own front room. No one can see you. You're not on a Zoom call or anything like that where people can see you. You're just literally watching me make a fool of myself, which I come down often. I mean, one day I come down with my t-shirt on back to front, and halfway through the workout, I went, oh, I've got my t-shirt on back to front, but I'd already done it, and everyone had seen it online. But I just thought, well, at least I've done a workout.
Yeah, okay.
I obviously got up, and I was half asleep and just put my t-shirt on back to front. That was live like that. We've had the cat come in and fight at my feet while I've been doing the workout. Honestly, it is, if you want to get motivated, I'd say, if you don't want to make a fool of yourself running, or you don't feel comfortable with that, just get on my workout and have a look what you can do, because you can just do it at your own pace, and you don't have to make a fool of yourself because you're in your own front room. So you don't have to feel like that. And there's loads of people to keep you motivated. So that's what I'd say. If you're thinking about doing it, join my Facebook group, and we'll push you to doing it.
Okay, that's a good message. Okay, so thank you for being with me today on my first podcast, Joanne. It's been nice having you on. It's been interesting to hear about your Taekwondo journey and your marathon journey, and for anybody who's thinking of doing something, I'm sure they'll hopefully have found a little bit more determination to start out. So yeah, thank you for being with me, and maybe we'll talk again sometime in the future. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
a more polished version after this first version today. All right. Thank you,
All
Joanne.
right. No
Bye-bye.
problem. Bye.
Okay. So I will now, we need to record a little bit again. Just a moment. I just stop my recording. Stop.